Now let's discuss about different types of cache available in Lookup. Okay, in Lookup there are different types of cache. So what is cache? Storing the data temporarily. Okay, storing the data temporarily in some location. Okay, in some location. So whenever you are using a lookup, okay, whenever you are using a lookup, what it will do first is it will get the data. Okay, whichever the table you are using inside the lookup, it will get the data and it will store it in the cache. Okay, that you will call it as a lookup cache. Okay, where we have that particular mapping. Okay, lookup connected and unconnected, right? So if you see here, it will store the cache. Okay, whenever you are having it. Okay, here inside the lookup, you are referring to department database. Okay, you are referring to department database. So what it will do, whatever the data is there in this department table, it will get it and it will store in the cache. Okay, cache directory. It is PM cache directory is there. It is predefined variable in Informatica. In your server, if you go, you will see cache. Okay, here source files is there. In the same way, you will have cache as well. Okay, here it will store the data.
What is the use of that, sir?
So use of cache is instead of getting it from memory, what it will do, it will store the location near to that server. So what is happening here? Inside the server, we have this temporary location. Here it is storing your data. Okay, here it is storing your data.
But nowhere we are using that in like coding.
No, it is an inbuilt property of your lookup.
Okay.
It is an inbuilt property of your lookup. Whenever you are creating any lookup, normally what it will do, it will create the cache. Okay, because for department you are having 100 records or 200 or so million records will be there. So what will happen whenever you are doing the lookup, there should not be any delay. If you have to get it from the database or if you have to get it from the file each and every time. So I'm getting one record from here. So department table is there. So I should not refer to database. In my SQL developer or in my Oracle, I have this data. So for each and every record, I should not go and check it in the database. Okay. For that, what it will do, instead of storing it in the data, instead of getting the data from database for each and every record, what it will do first, it will get the data from department and it will store it in the server location. Where it will store it? Inside the server, they have a location. Cache location is there. In this location, it will store the lookup data. And then it will refer to that particular cache only whenever it is referring to this particular data. For each and every record, it will refer to that cache so that your processing will be very faster. Okay, it is to make the processing very faster. So what is cache? It is storing the data in some temporary location inside the Informatica server. Okay.
Yeah.
How many types of caches are there? We have static cache. Okay. So static cache. You have dynamic cache or dynamic cache, and you have persistent cache. Okay. How persistent cache. So what is the difference between these three? Whenever you are creating any lookup, automatically it will store the cache. That you call it as a static cache. Okay. This is automatically stored. Okay. This type of cache is automatically stored. You need not to do anything. Okay. You need not to do anything. For example, here it is static cache because you did not mention what type of cache it should store. Okay. What type of cache it should store. You did not mention anything here. So what it will do? It will store it as a static cache. Static is nothing but what? Whenever any session is getting started, it will fetch the data. It will fetch the data. Okay. It will fetch the data when session is started. When session is started. Once session ends, it will remove it. It will remove it from cache. It will remove it from cache. Okay. That's what you will call it as. That's what you will call it as a static cache. And it will not have any updates. It will not have any updates that you are doing as part of that run. Okay. For example, what is happening? Employee ID is there, employee name is there. Okay. I have one, what is there? Two, what I have, Ashoka I have, for example. And from my source, I'm getting, okay, employee ID, employee name as, okay, one, Samata THA I'm getting, okay, three, Ravi I'm getting, for example. Okay. So what it will do, it will go and update. Samata is this one, right? First, what it will do is it will get this cache of your target, because this you are doing target lookup, right?
Yeah.
So when you are doing target lookup, what will happen? First, it will get, as it is a lookup, first what it will do, it will get the data, it will store it in a cache, right? It will store it in a cache. So let's consider this as source. Okay. Consider this as source and consider this as target. Okay. And what will be your cache now? This will be your cache, right? This will be your cache. Now, once you see the change, you will go and update it in the target, right? You'll go and update it in the target. But what will happen in the cache? As it is already got the data from your database, whenever it is fetching it, it is like this. So it won't change here. Okay, even though there is a change in the target, it won't change it in your cache, because when it reads the data, before updating the data into the target, it is reading and keeping it inside the cache. So at that particular point of time, there is no H in the Samatha. So it will be like this only. So Samatha won't get updated even though there is a change in the target, because we read it well before updating the data in the target. That is what static cache. Okay. Clear?
Yeah. So it has nothing to do with the output.
No, it won't do anything, because in order to make the data faster, in order to make the data look up faster, what it is doing, first it is getting the data and storing it in some different location. So if you are referring to each and every record for your target, then you will get this updated one, but you are not referring it, right? First you are getting the data and then you are updating in target. So there is no way like your cache will get updated. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it?
Yeah.
Now consider like in your source, you are having duplicate records. Okay. I'll tell you why I'm adding this duplicate. Now you are clear with static cache?
Yeah.
Now dynamic cache, there will be only one difference. Okay. There will be only one difference. What is that? Dynamic is nothing but it will have all the updates. All the updates are inserted that are happened during the session run. Okay. That are happened during the session run. In case of static, you will not come to know. In case of dynamic, you will come to know. So what will happen? First, you got this data. For example, Samatha is there. You got this data into your cache. Till this, you are clear?
Yes.
So now for one, what will happen? There is a change. So what it will do is it will update your cache, as well as internally it will update your cache. And as per your logic, it will go and update your target as well. Okay? This is how it will work in dynamic cache. Okay.
Yeah.
For 3 record, what it will do? It will go and, it will go and insert the data into your target, as well as it will insert this record into your cache. Okay. Now for this 3 record, same record is coming again. What it will do? As the data is already there and there is no change, it will ignore it as per your logic. Clear?
Yeah.
But whereas in static cache, what will happen? In static cache, what will happen? It don't know.
It will not take up the
record.
update.
No, it will not. It don't know like there is a record for 3 Ravi, because at the time of session start time, you have only these 2 records. And this 3 record, you just loaded it as part of the session. Clear? So like this, for example, now you have the data like this. Okay. This is what you got it, right? For example, In case of static cache, you got the data like this before the session start. This is how the data is there, right?
Yeah.
So now what will happen for one Samatha, it will go and update the target, but there will not be any change in your cache because it is static, right?
Yeah.
Now for 3, what it will do? It will go and insert it, right?
Yeah.
But for again next record, where it will check whether data is there or not, it will check in the cache, not in the target. That is the purpose of your cache, right? So you're keeping it in some location so that it will be easy to compare it. So is 3 Ravi is there? In your cache
No.
is 3 Ravi is
No,
there?
it's
No.
not. It's not there.
Whenever you are doing the lookup, what it will do? It will refer to the cache. As it is not there, what it will do? It will go and insert it. So in this case, what is happening? You end up creating duplicate records in the target. So that is the problem with static cache. Got it?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is the problem with static cache. It's the default cache. You need not to mention anything. Whenever you are creating any lookup and you are doing it, this is what it will use. And if you want to make it dynamic, you have to change the settings. You got the difference between dynamic cache and static cache?
Yes.
Okay. So here, if you see how to change it to the dynamic one, how to change it, lookup cache directory name, lookup cache, lookup data, dynamic lookup cache here. If you make it, it will make it dynamic. Okay. It will make it
Okay.
dynamic. See here. Is it making dynamic?
Yeah. So
See
if
here.
you are not checking the box, is automatically this is
It will take it as a
static.
static cache for that lookup. Okay. It will make it static cache. Synchronize output old value on output update. So you should not do that. So it will do all of these. These settings will be there. Okay. Clear?
Yeah.
So this is how you can enable dynamic cache. Okay.
Yeah. So it has nothing to do with the data. So why should we
Which one nothing to do with the data?
dynamic or static? The output data, it will not change.
No, output data will change, right? In case of static cache, you are inserting duplicate records. In case of dynamic
But
cache,
you
will
said cache is only the it's it's the inbuilt thing. It has nothing to do with the output.
no, it has nothing to do with the output. What it will decide whether it is an insert or update, right? In case of static cache, what you are doing, you end up creating duplicate records. In case of static cache, what is happening? 3 Ravi record, you are inserting it into 2 times, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
In case of dynamic cache, what you are doing? This 3 record you are not inserting it because automatically this
It will
3
not. It will
record
not
is,
take duplicates.
yeah, it will not create duplicate. Now you have seen the difference between the 2 transformations, 2
Yeah.
caches basically, how it will work.
Yeah.
It will make the difference only when there are duplicate records in your source. There are no duplicate records, for example. Will it make any difference?
No.
No, it will not make any difference to your target. So that is what dynamic cache and static cache. So what is persistent cache? Persistent cache means keeping it permanently. Keeping it permanently. For example, you are having some date table is there. So in date table, is there any chance like data will get updated every time?
Come again, sir.
For example, you have a date table. Okay. You have a
Okay.
date table. Inside the date table, for example, just think like you have, okay, date is there, day is there, weekday is there, day number is there. Okay. Day number is there, month will be there, year will be there. So for example, date today, what is the date? 23/5/2023, right? So what will happen here for a day means 23 will come and today is Tuesday. Okay. And then day number will be, sorry, your day will be
23.
23. Or a day number will be 23, or a day will be what will be day. Or we can give weekday is nothing but Tuesday. I think you can remove it. It will give both the same values. Month is
Yeah.
May and year is 2023. Is there any
23.
chance like this information will get changed over the period of time. Now we have seen there is a chance like your Samatha name may change or your salary may change. Is there any chance like this for these 4 columns, for example? Is that
no,
date
because
table? There is no change, right?
yes,
Even if you are
no change.
coming after 10 years also, if it is,
No, it will not change.
it will not change. So for this, what we will do is we will go with persistent cache. So what is persistent cache? It will fetch the data and it will store it permanently. So when you are running this particular mapping multiple times, it need not to fetch the data again and again. What I have told you for this static cache and dynamic cache, it will automatically remove it once the session is completed. So if there are 100 million records, you have to read the data each and every time, right? If you are keeping it permanently, you are reading it one time and you are storing it as it is. Whenever you are running the session next time, you will not read it again and again. You got it?
So yeah, but is there any difference between static and persistent?
Yeah, because static, for example, you are getting the data. Once the session is completed, you are flushing it. Again, you restart the session. Again, it will get the data. Again, it will flush it. So for getting this data, you are taking around 30 seconds of time, for example. And for flushing, you are taking around 10 seconds of time. So how much overall time you are spending on the lookup? 40 seconds of time. 30 seconds to get
30
it,
plus
10
10,
seconds to flush
40.
it. Right? Even dynamic cache also, it will be same. It may increase because you need to update the cache as well instead of, along with the update of target. So let's think like for getting the data and flushing the data, you are taking around 40 seconds of time for each and every session run. Correct?
Yeah.
Each and every session run, you will get that time. For example, session is there. Okay. First run. In first run, how much time it will take? 40 seconds, right? 40 seconds. Okay. And for the this time, okay. First run, how many seconds? 40 seconds. Second run again, 40 seconds. Third run again, 40 seconds. Now, in case of persistent, what you will do? You are keeping the data. You are keeping the data permanently, right? So for the first run, how much time it will take to get the data? 30 seconds. And there is no flushing of the data because you are keeping it. And for the second run,
another 30 seconds.
Not 30 seconds, right? Because you already have the data with you.
Okay.
What is the point of and again reading it from database? That is what persistent, right? You don't read it again. You will read it once, okay? Keeping the data permanently. What is this? Read it once and use it forever.
Okay.
Right? Use it forever or multiple times. Okay.
So dynamic and static, whenever the cycle is going, it will
Whenever
read
session,
it like
your run completes, whenever your session run completes, it will flush the data. It will flush
again, like whenever the cycle start, it will read again the
yeah,
new
it will
data.
read again. Correct. Because you don't have the data with you, right?
Yeah.
And again with persistent, what will happen in the third also it will be 0. In fourth run also it will be 0. Like that. How many runs are there? It doesn't matter. It won't fetch the data again from the database.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how to make the session as persistent? How to make this lookup as persistent? Here there is an option, lookup cache persistent. If you enable this option, what it will do? It will keep the data permanently.
Permanently.
Now, if you enable this option, see, are there any other options are getting enabled?
No.
See below, you can see here, right?
Yeah, cache file name prefix,
Yeah. So
recache
file
for
name
lookup.
prefix and recache from lookup source. Recache is nothing but if you think like there are some updates to your target date or in your target. Okay. Earlier you are storing only dates till 2050. Now you want to store the data from 2050 to 2070 as well. Okay. Now some data got changed in your date table, right? You have around 20 years of data extra came. So at that time, you want to recache the data. That means you want to reread it, because in your cache, what you have, only have the data till 2030. Now you want to have the data till 2070 as well. So as we are not reading the data again and again, if you want to refresh this data as per the table, what you have to do is you have to enable this. Okay, you have to enable this. If you enable this, what will happen? It will read it again one more time from the database. Okay, clear?
Yeah.
And what is this cache file name prefix? For cache, you can give some prefix. What should be the name of the file? What should, with which text the file name should start? Okay. This is kind of your naming convention or something like that you can give. If you're not giving it, normally it will create as another cache file. Then you will not be able to identify the difference between static cache file and the persistent cache file. Got it? So you can give some name prefix. You are prefixing that particular file with some name.
It's only for our convenience, but
Yes,
it doesn't
because
change
if you go
anything
to
in the table.
if you go to cache, it will give its own name, right? So all these are aggregates cache. We have used so many aggregators, right? So now, will you be able to tell me which aggregator it is? Which aggregator cache it is?
No, it has same name.
Yeah, so it is starting with PM aggregator some number. So that's the reason they're asking you to give some prefix name. Okay, they're asking you to some prefix name. Okay, clear?
Yeah.
Why we use this? To identify our cache file in the cache here in this folder. To identify what is our cache, we can use that. Clear? Clear with the persistent cache?
Yes.
Okay. Now you got the difference between static cache, dynamic cache, persistent cache.
Yes.
Now let's discuss about data cache and then index cache. Okay, data cache and index cache. If you see here you have data cache
Data
and lookup index cache. Okay, we have two, right? Data cache and index cache. And if you see here, you are having the two different types of caches are there. So if it is a DAT file, it is data cache. IDX means index cache. Clear?
Yeah.
So what is data cache? What is index cache? Data means it refers to the data. It refers to the actual data. Okay, refers to the actual data. What I have mentioned about the index is index
maybe
means
columns, fields.
yeah. So it will refer to the data of few columns only on which you are joining. Okay, so that your comparison will be faster. Okay. Apart from those joining columns, whatever is there, all of that information will be stored here in data cache. So why we need indexes basically to fetch the data faster, right? So in a book, you have index. If you have index, okay, you will see, okay, my topic is there at 10th page, you will go there. If you don't have index, you have to look for each and every page. Where is that? That is the purpose of index, right? Here, the lookup as well. If they store the index cache, what will happen? You are joining on top of these columns, right? So what it will do? It will store these values and it will link these particular value to the actual data in the data cache. Okay, actual value in the data cache, so that it will fetch the data faster. Okay, clear? It will store the indexes or pointers for the joining columns. Okay, this is what you will call it as index cache, and it refers to the actual data. Data cache is nothing but it will store all the columns of your lookup. It will store all the columns of your lookup, all these columns. Whereas data index cache, what it will do? It will store the linkage for only department ID where you are joining. Department name, sorry. Okay, only department name. Clear?
Yeah.
What the difference between data cache and index cache?
Data will refer to only the
complete data. It will refer to the complete data. Index cache, it will refer to only the columns which you are mentioning within the condition to make the comparison faster. Okay. What it will do, for example, with the same department, if you have multiple departments, here in index cache, only one record will be stored for that department name. Whereas in data cache, it will have all the 3 records.
Okay.
And this index, what it will do, it will have the link to all those 3 departments.
Okay.
Got it?
Okay.
That's
So
how.
these all comes under different types only. This is not under permanent cache.
No. Permanent is nothing but only persistent cache. So if you are keeping it persistent cache, then this data will be stored forever.
Okay.
Because in these types of cache is nothing but storing this data only, right? Storing the data. Cache is nothing but storing the data. How you are storing the data, based on that one, you are giving the name. So if you are keeping it persistent, means these files will be there forever. If you are making it dynamic, means once the processing is over, you will remove these 2 files. Clear?
Yeah.
So cache, you are storing the data as a cache, means it will be stored as an index cache and data cache. Whether these 2 will stay forever or will be flushed after the session, based on your settings. These are settings, right? These are settings. And if you do this setting, it will make this data to stay forever, or it will remove the data after the session is completed. This is the actual storage. This is the naming you are giving to different types of cache. Whether you are storing it, if you are storing it, you are calling it with one name. If you are not storing it, you are calling it with one name. And if you are updating it on the fly also, you are calling it with one another name. Okay? Clear?
Yeah.
So that's if you see here, this is an index cache and this is the data cache. For data cache, what it will do? It will, the type of file it is dat file. For index cache, the type of file is index file, IDX.
Yeah.
Okay? Clear? Now you got the difference between different caches.
Yes.
So what we have learned today? Different types of transformations. Active transformation and passive transformation. Active is nothing but number of records will increase or decrease out of your target, right? Out of your transformation, number of records will input and output won't match. Means number of records wise, not in terms of data. Number of records input, for example, you are getting some X number of records. Output it may be Y or X also. In case of active, it can act as a passive as well, right?
Yeah.
Because if you are making filter as true for all records, how many records are coming into your target, your filter transformation, all those records will come out to your target. But passive can't act as an active. Active can become a passive, but passive can't become an active.
Okay.
Yeah. Got it? Why I'm saying like active can act, active transformation can become a passive transformation?
Because sometimes the records may
satisfy, all records may satisfy the condition.
Yeah.
At the time, number of input records matches with the output records.
Yeah. So how we will use active and passive? Like, they'll ask us like.
No, they in project nothing. It is just for your interview purpose. You should know the concept, right? In your interview, they will ask what is active transformation, what is passive transformation.
Okay.
When you are developing this, did I tell you all these days? There is no difference, right?
No difference.
We need not to know, but whenever you are going for interview, you should know the topic, right? It's not only how to do it. They will ask, okay, what type of lookups are there? Connected lookup is there, unconnected is there? What is the difference? And how will you use them? What are the different types of cache? What are the different types of transformations? Okay.
Yeah.
Like that, only for interview purpose. This is also there is it is one of the performance improvement technique, you can say, how to make it faster. Okay. This is not it will be asked in the interview. You need not to know specifically, but it is good to know. Otherwise, what will happen? Everything will be created as by default static cache.
Yeah.
Right? Based on your requirement. If you want to make it persistent, you can do it. If you want to make it dynamic, you can do it. If you want to make it static, you can. Again, you need not to do anything. It will automatically come as a static. Right? It is based on your requirement. Clear?
Yeah.
Any doubts in today's session?
No. Good.
Okay, then let's meet tomorrow. Thank you.
Yeah.